Thanks for joining us in this bulletin of Joy News today. We're going to begin in Wager, where some school children have been left trapped in their homes after spilled waters from the Wager Dam took over their homes. Now, authorities at the Wager Dam began spilling the dam earlier last week. Now, some parents had to ferry their children on their backs as they crossed the water, which was knee-high at a point. Now, the residents have been impressed upon by authorities to relocate, but they feel that they have no choice. Komla Adum has more. Before we go, we bring you that story. Police have fired warning shots to disperse hundreds of demonstrating KNUST students who are on rampage, destroying school properties and smashing vehicles in sites. University authorities are being accused of brutalizing students from last weekend. Now, the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS, is backing the demonstration while demanding a halt of the alleged oppression of students by university authorities. Let's go onto the phone and speak with Elisha Ohiniba Esuman for more. Elisha, can you first run us through some of the alleged instances of oppression you are accusing the university authorities of perpetrating?
All right. So I want to first of all begin by saying that I commend the leadership of the Student Representative Council and our local representatives, that is the local mid secretariat, and the students of KNUST, who today torn out in their numbers, carrying tens of thousands of young men and women who on the streets of KNUST to demonstrate and to register their displeasure at the university authorities. I think that this is not the first of its kind. This is not the second of its kind. This is the third or fourth time such an incident or brutality of students is happening on the KNUST campus. And believe me, as I speak with you on your radio, we have a student who is on the hospital bed at KNUST battling for his life for no apparent reason, unprovoked attack security agencies in KNUST. Again, as I speak with you, you have students who are in the police cells who have been there for close to over 48 hours, some of whom parents and guardians came to grant them bail, were also arrested after last weekend, just the immediate weekend, and are the police cells. We, the Union of Ghana students, are saying that the mandate and objective for which NUGS was set up was to protect and safeguard the rights and privileges of all Ghanaian students, both women and girls. And Chapter 1, Article 9 of the NUGS Constitution is clear on the protection of our members. And so today, we have joined in solidarity our SRC and our local representatives, that's the local NUGS, to demonstrate and to register our displeasure at the university authorities. The students are saying that they want nothing but the resignation of the Vice Chancellor, who has shown to show leadership. We are also saying that we want the resignation of the head of security, because he has also failed to control his men and to also show leadership. And again, the dean of students, we are also telling him that he should resign. Nothing more than this. And this is not going to be the end of it. Tomorrow, NUGS and USAS will be doing a press conference in Kumasi, in KNUST, after which on Friday we'll present a detailed petition to His Excellency, the President of the Republic and the Ministry of Education.
Elisha.
Yes.
Elisha, as you speak, there are images rolling on our screens of destroyed school property, cracked screens, broken glass, staff members running for their lives. This is what NUGS is supporting?
Yes. So I'm saying that it is not in the interest, and it has never been the interest of NUGS to use violence to address our issue. Nonetheless, like I said, over 10,000s of students gone on the streets of KNUST to demonstrate. And I mean, somewhere along the line, you have students, some Christians among them. Nonetheless, the aim of this protest has been achieved. We have registered displeasure. And that is the utmost interest of student population. And that is the interest of NUGS.
And I was just informed that what we are currently seeing on our screens are live images of some police personnel touring some of the vandalized property. Elisha, I just want a clear position of NUGS as a body on the vandalism which was carried out by the demonstrators. Does NUGS stand by the vandalism that was done this morning?
I have clearly that it is not the interest of the National Union of Ghana students to use violence to address issues that is being countered with as we speak. But I'm saying we have achieved our aim of registering our displeasure to the leadership of the university and to our stakeholders.
What would you say to the students?
As I speak with you, you have military men who were using guns, beating people with guns. As the national president of NUCS, I was manhandled by one of them. And so if you try to brutalize again students with guns, with sticks and all that, koboko and all that, you don't expect them to also sit back.
Are you justifying what the students did?
I'm not justifying what they did, but I'm saying again that we will not consult to any oppressors in this country. That is what I'm saying.
What would you say to the students who carried out these acts of vandalism this morning? What would be your word to them?
It was the aim and objective of the SRC, USAG, and all other student leaders to organize a peaceful protest. We have organized a peaceful protest, and just that.
Do you call this protest peaceful?
We are commending them for stepping out in their numbers to demonstrate and to tell the leadership of the university that enough is enough. Enough of the brutality.
Elisha.
Today, it has been someone else. Tomorrow it can be in your studio. And that is what we are resisting now. And I'm saying for the last time that the NUCS that agitated that proactive and reciprocal we saw years back will soon resist this oppressors rule this time around. And it will not happen.
Elisha, are you calling this protest peaceful?
Exactly, because we began with a peaceful protest until the police and the military came in to mar the whole process.
That's interesting because we had reporters on the ground.
None of the students was wielding weapons, sticks and all that at the beginning or at the start of the beginning of the protest. It was peaceful, it was calm. We went to the administration to give them a notice informing them of our peaceful demonstration ahead on Friday and all that until the police came in.
That's interesting because we had reporters on the ground who tell us that in the first place, the police were observing until the students began throwing stones at the administration block.
That is not the case. That is not true. I am telling you for a fact that we were leading the demonstration.
You were there yourself.
The protest, and I'm saying for the record and for a fact that indeed it was a peaceful protest until the police began to fire at the students.
Okay, so your word is that you had a peaceful protest, the police attacked you, and then you threw stones at the administration building.
Of course, at the administration building. That's exactly what happened. It was a peaceful protest.
Why would you throw stones at an administration building when police attack you?
As part of our schedule, we decided to gather from the Peace Junction and walk peacefully to the administration where the student leadership, National Union of Ghana Students, USAG, the SRC, and our local representatives was going to address the students and to do our presentation for documentation and then go organize ourselves, awaiting our police permit in order to do our demonstration until, like I've said, until the police came in, trying to disperse the crowd, which any weapon, anything whatsoever. And I'm saying, lastly again, that the students would resist every oppressor's rule, even if it has to take our lives to make sure we ensure the right things are done. We are ready to do it. And that is what has happened today. And tomorrow it will continue.
Elisha, have any students been injured after this morning's demonstration?
No student has been injured, except those who were injured or brutalized by the security forces over the weekend, some of whom are receiving treatment at the hospital, and others also are in the police custody.
So what happens tomorrow? You mentioned that tomorrow it continues. What happens tomorrow?
Yes, so tomorrow we are going to do a press conference. The alumni of the university are also coming in. They are coming in. And we are going to continue this until our grievances are addressed. And that's exactly what I've said. The students want nothing than the resignation of the Vice Chancellor, who is an oppressor to the interest of the students.
Thank you very much, Elisha Ohiniba Ismail, for joining us. But before you go, just for a matter of emphasis, so we do not misreport you in the future, you condone every act that happened today. You believe that the students were retaliating to a police attack on the peaceful demonstration, and you feel that everything that happened today was justified.
Again, so like I said earlier, we want to commend the students for stepping up in their numbers to register their displeasure. But we speak against any form of violence, anything whatsoever. That has
so you speak against the violence.
And like I said, the violence came in when the police and the military tried to use force to disperse her.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elisha Ohiniba Isumain, for joining us. That was Elisha Ohiniba Isumain. He's with the National Union of Ghana Students. Now, Erastus Asai Donko is a man in the Ashanti region who has been following this. Erastus, what has happened since we last spoke on this matter in the morning?
Well, what happened since we last spoke was that the students in their thousands started gathering in front of the Continental Hall, that's the Kunti area, and the military personnel and the police followed them up there, and that is where 2 of the students were arrested. And the students protested that if they allow them to take them away, they are going to subject them to beatings, and so they wanted them to release them. And that is what brought about some level of stone throwing and chaos. But in the end, they decided to release them. And that was after they fired several warning shots, tried to disperse the students, but it wasn't working. And so they had to release the 2 students. But since then, they brought in some military reinforcements. About 2 pickups full of armed military men were brought a short while ago. The students booed and cheered and started chanting slogans and other things, and the vehicles had to move along, and some of them have been following them around as well. Currently, there is calm. Many of the students are returning to the various halls.
So calm has been restored on campus?
Exactly.
For the sake of clarity...
It's an uneasy calm because when the armed police and military personnel try to come around again, then they gather around the vehicles. But I think the authorities have seen that, and so they've moved all the military vehicles out of the area, and so many of the students are getting back.
Right, Erastus, your line is a bit unclear. Please reposition yourself. But for the sake of clarity, I want to understand, how did the peaceful demonstration that was reported in the morning turn into a matter of students throwing stones and destroying property? Did you see how the situation degenerated into violence?
Yes. In fact, when it started, we saw a peaceful march. And it started, when we came, they started from all angles because people from the Continental Hall were marching as well. We had people marching from the Katanga area, and then we had people marching from the Hall 7 and other areas as well. And I was following from the Katanga end, where thousands of students were marching from that end, holding placards. Then they moved towards the administrative block, and that is where they started throwing stones. I must say it was unprovoked, but they started throwing stones at the louver blades, the glassware and everything. They destroyed the reception, destroyed the TV sets and other things that were there, turned the whole place upside down. At that point, the police had parked their vehicle in front of the Great Hall, but then they were not coming in to stop them. It started and went on for a few minutes before the police came in to tell them to move. And they asked them not to come close to the area, and they were able to disperse them. That was when they smashed the windscreens of about 15 vehicles in front of the administration, including the registered vehicles.
Erastus, thank you very much. But before you go, we understand there was a burnt vehicle involved. Whose vehicle was it? How was it set on fire?
Well, then I've not seen that. In fact, the violence is happening across campus.
Right, we find it difficult to hear Erastus Asaridonko. We'll be moving on to other stories. We'll stay with education institutions because candidates vying for student leadership positions at the Ghana Institute of Journalism have expressed anger over the cancellation of their general elections. Members of the Graduate Students Association of Ghana at GIJ were to cast their votes on Friday to elect aspirants to various positions, but this did not happen as the Students' Electoral Commission called off the polls. They say failure of some aspirants to pay the percentage of academic fees expected of them made the cancellation necessary. Eunice Kalifutu has more in this report.
GRASAG is a democratic, non-partisan and progressive movement of students in Ghana with the aim of protecting and safeguarding the rights and interests of every Ghanaian student. Each year, a president is elected among the graduates to represent the entire student body. The Electoral Commission, without informing school authorities, aspirants and students cancelled the election. Some aspirants who spoke to Joy News don't seem excited about this development.
We have been able to lobby, get others to write letters to their various institutions that there is going to be an election, so they should quit whatever they are doing and come on time to vote. And we have cancelled this election at this 11th hour when voting was supposed to start on reasons that we don't even ascertain. Because if you're saying somebody has not paid the fees and that you have not been notified, that means you are telling us indirectly that when students don't read around, it shouldn't be an offense, because notices have been flooded all over the place. So far, if I'm trying to talk about the cost, I cannot quantify it.
The GRASAG president told us that management raised two concerns. The first one was that they were not informed that, elections were going to, kickstart today, or we're going to vote today. The other one was that they also said they were told that there is an aspirant, especially in the presidential category, who hadn't finished paying the 70% requirement of the school fees, that is, haven't registered.
We've done lots of campaign. You could see the posters, the banners, the flyers, and all those things that we've distributed. We've engaged a lot of people. We have to even bring some of our people to come and then help out with the process. So it's something that it's quite unfortunate, I should say. But what can you do? It's been postponed, so you just have to go with it.
Students who were expecting to vote on Friday shared their frustrations with Joy News.
I'm saddened because I was very ready to cast my vote for my candidate, but there has been news around. I've been hearing some things that they cancelled it because some of the candidates were unable to pay their fees, and then a whole lot of things that I can't say on camera. So for me, I'm saddened. I'm very, very disappointed.
For me, I feel that if there had not been a precedent in the past, there had not been a precedent where the institute have been informed about elections from the GRASAG level. But in this case, it is a new development. In my opinion, I'm thinking that the new development should have probably been put on hold for a while.
They want authorities to immediately fix a convenient date for the election. Eunice Carl, the Futus report for Joy News.
Now, we take you back to that earlier story in Wager, where some school children were left trapped in their homes after spilled waters from the Wager Dam took over their homes. Some parents had to ferry their children on their backs across the knee-level flooded area to school. The Ghana Water Company Limited yesterday spilled excess water from the dam after several warnings to residents to vacate the area. The residents, however, feel relocating their homes will not solve the problem. Instead, GWCL should construct storm drains to direct the path of the water. Komla Adum has more.
You can see in your shots, there is a school child who is being, taken on the back of her mother just so they could be able to cross this flooded area to make their way to school. Now, say every other time, family for how are you managing them? Are they all in there still in the water?
On the account, almost school. Egu in Panoso, and Panasi now for, but my traumas are managing something, broken on button bed so away inside. Your bedroom, your kitchen, BBA, Unconjays was often just in answer. I use you.
So he says his children are also trapped in there. So he was actually just moving out of this place to go and find some food for them to eat, and they've been given a higher ground to step on. So I'm going to speak to the lady who is currently making her way here with her child. I want to imagine, and the water is almost on her knee level. Maybe say we say why busy or no bad in school, but how serious is the situation?
How serious is it? It's only there to say right inside though. A kitchen.
Okay.
Any a bathhouse.
Now, many of the people I mean, Makasane say, or more Mumano are inside the rooms. They cannot cross over like the way you are doing with your child. Now, I don't know, all the way or do
The dam is spilled every time. Our homes have all been flooded. If I do not carry him to school this way, he wouldn't be able to go to school.
But every other time, we won't be a dam. Someone said they be a movie dam. No, in Sion Beba Modem. I didn't still must go to the area.
Saying all the time, so no movie. Or maybe where maybe 4 years and 5 years time on baby.
Namunyamana says no way. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
So how you are going to school in this condition? I know many of your mates are not going to come to school because their areas and their homes are also flooded.
Yes.
Okay. Have a nice day in school. So that was one of the pupils and many other children, trying to make their way from one end, to the other side. There are 2 children I see in my picture who are also making it from all the way there to the. Now, maybe I'm
Uncle be so be some more.
And I'm one name in free tree hot on.
If you only say,
sir, not one way. Okay. Inti Moonsro say in sure you are more nancy free a tree hot son, Bessia Kohano, Ebian soon be farmer.
Yes, sir.
Musro, bad than moving.
So, I'm quite Macasium, what dear?
Inti, what's not check a cry?
Now
every time Mutina Ham who sends you never.
They be sure never.
Okay, Ruth and Mommy, they've been sent on an errand, so they are making their way to wherever they've been sent to, and they've had to move through the water just so they can be able to go to the other end of the streets. From me here at Wager Down, reporting for Joy News, I am Komla Adom.
Still watching Joy News today, I am Daniel Daze. Still to come, poor lighting along the Ayimenta Ebri Highway endangering the lives of road users, particularly at night. Justice Beidou has the details on Joy News agenda today. There's that and more after this. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now, barely 10 years after construction, nearly all the street lights on the Ebri-Ayimensa Highway have broken down. The Pediase Presidential Lodge, which is on that stretch to Ebri, has no street lights in front of it. For our Joy News agenda this week, looking at streets without lights across the country, my colleague Justice Beidou took a ride on the highway to see how broken down lights threaten security in the area.
In daylight, the view from above is stunning. The meandering curves through the lush greens up the hill from Ayimensa to the Ebri Mountains make it even more touristy. But when night falls, this stretch is lonely, dark, and dangerous. It's the dead of night.
Oh, sorry, this is 20 pesos. It's 50 pesos. Yeah.
I have come to meet middle-aged Anthony Adakwa in a small toll booth taking money from the few cars passing by.
We get scared all the time whilst we are working. There are a whole lot of darkness. If there are some people with the bad mentalities hiding within the darkness, it will cause a lot of threat to us.
As we drive up the hill, fear dawns on me and my crew. There are about 10 curves within this barely 2-kilometer journey, all of it overlooking a silent Accra by night. Most of the metal railings used on the edges of the road to protect the cars have been ripped off, evidence that a lot of cars ran over them, falling into the ditch below the mountains sometimes. Driving on this road could be like walking a tight rope, even for the best of drivers.
Every weekend, people do walk,
Kofi Aiden has been living in Ebri for 20 years and runs a pub up the hill. Even the Pediase Presidential Lodge, which is just across the street from where he works, has no street light at the entrance.
We can't move in the night. The traders from Medina Adenta to Adolso, in Krakai, you know that the Adenta community, Medina community, they are getting their food from where I mentioned, from Adolso, from Nkrakai. Kofodia business people all apply this road. And how can you apply this road in the night without light?
Official accident figures on this road are hard to come by as many go unreported. But some of the residents here told me they've lost count of the number of cars crashing into the metal railings almost every week. The streetlights have been off for years now, and no one knows when they would be back. This road, otherwise a beauty by the hill, is now a disaster waiting to happen. Justice Paidu, Joy News, on the Ebri Ayimensa Highway.
Now, a Class 1 boy in a school at Tema has been less traumatized after a cleaner in his school sexually abused him. The 7-year-old boy says it was a painful experience as the cleaner inserted his fingers in his anus and also stroked his male organ until he developed bruises. Maxwell Agbagba was in Tema to meet the victim and his family members and has come through with this report.
He pulled my penis and Rajit sleep on me. He put his hands in my anus and Rajit put his penis on my ear.
Voice of 7-year-old Kwame, not his real name. He sits quietly as his mates in church answer some biblical questions from their Sunday school teacher. We are now some meters away from the other children. The victim says the cleaner stripped him naked, lied on him, and inserted his fingers in his anus. He says he cried and endured the painful experience as his plea fell on deaf ears.
He pulled my penis and Rajit sleep on me. He put his hands in my anus and Rajit put his penis on my ear. I went to tell my teacher, and my teacher called my mother and told my mother. It was painful. I told him that he's paining me, and he said I'm lying. It's not paining me, and he said she'll finish right now.
Pictures seen by Joy News show bruises on the male organ of the Class 1 pupil. The victim told his uncle the accused stroked his male organ for a long time. He says the 7-year-old boy is traumatized by the October 11 incident.
The moment he get to the entrance of the school, you could see that he panicked. He panicked. This is a little boy, 7-year-old boy. So psychologically, it is building on her. If we, the parents and the guardians, don't do something to raise that early, it might grow up and then affect him. He pulled, he tried to jerk him off. So he squeezed and then pulled his penis until the boy started feeling some, sexual sensation, and then he started putting his finger in his anus, in the boy's anus. That incident happened when he came home. When the mother was bathing him, the bruises were bursting, so blood was coming out. We have pictures and all that to show. So quickly he was, rushed to the Tema General Hospital. On Thursday evening, he came forward and then he confessed that actually he did that and that he's sorry. The case is very alarming because this is a 7-year-old boy who doesn't know what is sex. For him to say that he pulled my penis and he was enjoying me, you see, so at that moment, he has got a feeling of what sex is. This boy will grow up, if care is not taken, and with prayers, he will grow up and knows that the only means of enjoying sexually is with another man, which is very, very alarming. And this is a school that we have sent our children to be taken care of when we are at work, working. And then if the management or the teachers of the school will just allow them for the children to be, being preyed on, if I should use that word, by anybody in the school, then it is very alarming.
Sometime last week, the culprit was handed a 24-month jail term, bringing finality to the pursuit of justice. But the painful experience continued to haunt the Class 1 pupil.
Definitely a sad story there. But it's time for business with Emmanuel Abuajibiafi. He brings you business after this.